Batman is famous for being relentless in his mission for justice, and he's well known for having one of the greatest willpowers of all superheroes. With that being said, he is still human, and no human lasts forever. Whether it's old age or injury or just wanting to settle down and start a family, Batman has actually retired on a number of occasions. And we're going to take a look at the 5 best times that he's retired, and the reasons why it didn't work out, because it never seems to work out. The Dark Knight Returns. Now, this film is a timeless classic that even features RoboCop as the voice of the future Batman whom has retired, along with all other superheroes incidentally, with the exception of Superman. Basically, the whole world wanted superheroes to go away, so they did. They all retired except for Superman, who of course they all love because, he's so damn powerful. But sadly, Bruce Wayne is not happy in retirement. In fact, he seems to be quite depressed. It's been 10 years since he hung up his cape, and basically, he's bored. He's even taken up racing cars to try and get a bit of an adrenaline rush, but it's not really doing the trick.
Looked like a flaming coffin for billionaire Bruce Wayne for sure. Turns out Wayne bailed out at the last second, suffering only minor burns.
And at the same time, crime in Gotham is on the rise, with more theft and more violence, and even a gang of mutants spreading this violence like a cult through the city. And it's affected the citizens of the city too, as they are all losing hope. I mean, it does make sense. There's more crime, there's more violence, it's going to upset people. And all of this has Bruce Wayne just itching to come out of retirement. So much so that he even starts sleepwalking and going down to the Batcave. He even shaves off his mustache in his sleep so that he can get back in the cape and cowl. It's a very bizarre moment, actually. But it's not just for the thrill of the hunt that he's doing this. It's basically because of the promise he made to his parents to end crime in Gotham. He made a promise that he wanted to protect people so that no one else would have to go what he went through. And now, he's got to uphold that promise, even if it means breaking the law and coming out of retirement. Because Bruce Wayne knows that unless he puts on the Batsuit once again, then the crime will only get worse until the violence consumes Gotham City. And he would never allow that to happen. And so he returns, an older and much, much more violent version of Batman, and much more vengeful for that matter.
Sure, you've got rights. Plenty of them. You're also bleeding to death. And right now, I'm the only one in the world who can get you to a hospital in time.
Seriously, he just stabs out one of Joker's eyes on the fly. This guy is much more fierce than ever before. And you could argue that this is because of his pent-up regression from all the years of doing nothing, but really I think it's because he's getting older and closer to death, and he's worried what will happen to Gotham City without him there. I mean, it's a very good question. What does happen to Gotham City if there's no Batman? So he wants to try and be as violent as possible to stamp out as much as he can while he's still alive. And sure, there's been no Batman for 10 years, so you may think, is it really that big a deal? But remember, he was always there in the shadows, waiting to come out of retirement if he was needed. I mean, if there had been more violence 5 years before this, he would have just come out then. He was just waiting for the right moment. But when he does eventually die, and then can't come back, and there is literally no one else to pick up the slack, well, that means a lot of bad things are going to happen. Which is why in this story he ends up co-opting the mutant cult and turning it into the Sons of Batman.
Tonight, we are the law. Tonight, I am the law.
And then he sets about teaching them how to be vigilantes, so that they can protect the future of the city when he is dead and gone. This one actually has kind of a happy ending, or at least the happiest ending I can imagine Batman getting, because he'll never give up on his mission, but at least this way future generations are there picking up the torch and carrying on his legacy. Chemistry. Now this one is a genuine attempt at retirement by Bruce Wayne, but sadly for him it actually lasts the shortest of any of his retirements. Seriously, he's spent longer out of his cape and cowl when he's just been injured. And it's also a genuine attempt at marriage. This is because Bruce Wayne meets someone at a wedding and he falls deeply in love with her, and he decides to hang up his cape and settle down with her. Now, it is quick, but he is deeply in love with her. And when you know, you know. And so he tells the rest of the Bat family that they're taking over, and the two of them elope, and they go on a cruise for their honeymoon. And I do have to say that this is actually probably the most mentally healthy reason for him to retire. He's moving away from the violence and the world of Batman, and going into normalcy of settling down and trying to get over his trauma. And really, this is what he should always be aiming for in his life. But the problem, of course, is that it's all a lie. The woman he loves, he only loves due to the fact she's coated in one of Poison Ivy's chemical concoctions, and it's affecting his body and creating the feelings of true love, the oxytocin love hormone, sure, but it's all artificial. And that also includes his bride. She's actually a plant creature made by Poison Ivy and designed to look both human and, of course, beautiful. And it was sent to seduce Bruce Wayne, but it wasn't the only one. Ivy has made several of these creatures, and she's had them all seduce rich people who own a lot of land, people that she considers to be harming the world, or at least people whose resources she could use to help protect the greenery of the world. But in order for Ivy to get control of those resources, she first has to kill them so the spouses can inherit their wealth. Now, fortunately, Bruce Wayne is the world's greatest detective, and so he does suss all this out on the cruise, and the Bat family come to back him up, armed with a hell of a lot of weed killer. Now, they do of course take Ivy down and everything's all good, but that also means that Bruce Wayne loses, as his wife and his retirement are all gone because it was all fake, and it's leaving him even more alone than ever before. Honestly, this one's probably the saddest story on this list. I mean, the love may have been fake, sure, and the woman wasn't even a woman. I mean, it was a plant creature, yeah. But that doesn't change the fact that it felt real to Bruce Wayne. He was genuinely head over heels in love with this woman. And sure, it may have been a plant that he was falling in love with, but she was sentient, so she is basically human in all the ways that matter. So this one is seriously a real shame for him, because he's losing everything that could possibly make him happy. And at the end of the day, if anyone deserves a happy ending, it's Batman. Batman Beyond. Now, this series is all about the passing of the torch, or rather passing of the bat signal, to a younger Batman. Now, it starts slightly into the future with an aging Bruce Wayne still being Batman at this point, but using an enhanced batsuit to compensate for his declining body. Basically, it's got enhancements like enhanced strength and different modes so that he can move around more easily. But unfortunately, these enhancements are not enough, and Batman's heart gives out mid-mission, and he's actually nearly beaten to death by the criminals he's trying to take down. Now, he does manage to escape, but he only does so by using a handgun, the very thing that he hates, the thing that killed his parents. And so after this, he decides that he's just too old to be Batman. He wishes he could continue, but his body won't allow it. And if the only way he can continue is to start using handguns, well then he'd rather just stop being Batman altogether. So that's what he does. So many more years pass, and he becomes more and more of a recluse, basically just disappearing as a hermit into his mansion. That is until happenstance has Terry McGinnis arrive at his front door, and the two of them end up fighting some jokers off because, well, that's just how it goes, isn't it? Now, we'll skip ahead a little bit there, but basically Terry ends up stealing the Batsuit in order to bring his father's killer to justice. Now, at first, Bruce Wayne is against this. I mean, he's stolen the Batsuit. He can't just let anyone run around in that. It's dangerous. But if anyone understands wanting revenge on their parents' killer, well, it's Bruce Wayne.
I know how you lost your folks. The guy who murdered my dad is on that transport. This is my one chance to nail him.
So Terry McGinnis is able to bring him around, and the two of them team up. And the mission ends up going so well that Bruce Wayne actually comes out of retirement to train and help Terry McGinnis as the new Batman. Now, admittedly, he's not completely out of retirement. I mean, the guy is seriously old at this point. He's basically a part-time helper behind the scenes. The easiest way to think of it is just Bruce Wayne is the brains and Terry McGinnis is the brawn.
Yeah, there can't be too many doctors or labs that do that kind of work around here. Let's get on the computer and make a list of... Oh.
So this is a total retirement, followed by a part-time coming back to the job in a supervisory and detective position. I mean, really it kind of feels like Terry's just there because he's young, and that's basically it. And you could argue that point. There is more to it, I would say, but you could see it coming from that angle. It's really just a case of he's too old, he needs a younger body to do the work. But you still have to ask yourself, why exactly did he come out of retirement? I mean, there was still crime rampant in the city, there always is, but was it really worth bringing him back? And the truth of it is, I don't think it was. Yeah, there were some weapons deals going down and other stuff that obviously needs to be stopped, and Bruce Wayne wants that to happen. But in truth, I think he came back out of retirement simply because without Batman, Bruce Wayne was disappearing out of the world and just staying in his mansion permanently on his own, and he knew that. And at the same time, yes, criminals were starting to get more bolder and doing worse crimes, so, it does make sense for it to happen. But really, it's more about him coming out of his shell, and of course continuing the legacy of Batman to protect Gotham City in the years to come. And as for why he uses Terry for this, well, it's quite simple really. He sees a lot of himself in him. He knows that need for revenge that comes from having your parents die, and he knows that Terry will never really be satisfied by taking down criminals, but it helps to channel his anger into something useful. And if he can be the new Batman and improve Gotham City without dealing with anger, well, it all kind of works out perfectly, doesn't it? So yeah, this one works out because he needs to be Batman to get a sense of purpose, and of course, Gotham City does need a Batman to keep it safe.
Now do you believe me about why I retired?
Not entirely, but tonight I'm glad you didn't stay retired.
Knights of Tomorrow. Now, this is the second time the Batman retires for love, and in this story we see him finally settle down with Catwoman, like many fans have always wanted, and he also hands over his cape and cowl to Nightwing, so that he can take over the legacy of Batman, meaning that although he's retiring, there is still a Batman to protect Gotham City. One of the few times where he seems to have actually fought out his retirement. And then he sets about building his own legacy. He marries Catwoman and they have a child, a son that they name Damian Wayne. Now, Batman naturally loves his son and he wants to give him everything in the world. And he doesn't really want to pressure him into being a vigilante, even though he kind of wants him to take over the family business. And so he decides to make a promise that Damian Wayne will never have to become a vigilante, but just in case one day he decides to become one, Bruce Wayne will train him in all the skills that he will need to be the next Batman. Now, unfortunately, this Damian Wayne isn't as good in his studies as the one we're used to hearing about. Instead of being the practically supernatural version from the League of Assassins, this one's more of just a normal kid. Not dumb or useless or anything like that, he's just a normal kid, so it takes him a while to pick some things up. And he's still being trained and does actually become quite a skillful warrior down the road. It's just that he goes at a normal learner's speed instead of the instant super speed that we're used to with most members of the Bat family. But Batman not only continues his studies earnestly, but he makes sure that they have quality time as a family, including trips to museums. Unfortunately, on one such trip, the Joker's son storms the place and ends up killing both Bruce Wayne and Selina Wayne. And yet another member of this family has to watch as their parents are killed in front of them. And of course, he promises a vow of vengeance, which this young man does get. He goes and gets the Robin suit, teams up with Batman, who used to be Nightwing, and they take down not only the Joker's son, but the Joker himself. And then of course he grows up to be the next Batman with a son of his own who he will no doubt hand the cowl down to one day. And this is actually the only time on this list where Batman doesn't come out of retirement. Sure, his retirement still ends because he dies, but that's how everyone's retirement ends. The point being, he doesn't come out of retirement because he doesn't need to. All the other times he has nothing else in his life except his mission and the Batsuit. In this case, he is truly happy in his retirement, happy and fulfilled with a purpose of loving his wife and raising his son. I mean, it's actually a beautiful retirement for him, and really the best he could have hoped for. And if he hadn't been killed, I don't think that he would have ever come out of retirement. And I guess the real moral of this story is that you can't escape your past. I think that was the point of this story in a way. Sure, he can hang up his cape and cowl, but after he's done what he's done, walking down the hero path, well, he can't just simply stop and turn back. The fact is, he made some huge enemies when he was Batman. And really, the biggest surprise about this is that this is the only time on this list where one of Batman's enemies hunts him down for revenge. You'd think it would happen a lot more often. The Dark Knight Rises. Now, in the beginning of the final film in the Nolan trilogy, Batman has essentially won his war on crime. Sure, at the end of the last film, Batman took the blame for several murders he didn't commit, and he is a wanted man by the police, which is why he's had to retire. I know some people will say he wasn't retired, he was just lying low. And you're right, technically this isn't a retirement, but when you're gone for that many years without going back on the streets, I think it counts as retirement. But anyway, because of the fact that he took the blame for those murders, Gotham is actually a more peaceful place than ever, and Batman hasn't actually been needed on the streets for years. Of course, that being said, the main reason that there has been no crime is that they used Harvey Dent's murder to take away certain rights of citizens. They sort of gloss over that, but it's actually quite screwed up. And sure, it might make him easier to put it away, but it's kind of unconstitutional if you ask me. But anyway, although Batman is off the streets, so is Bruce Wayne. He has been holed away in Wayne Mansion for years, not so much as being seen by anyone. Even at his own fundraising events, he hides away. No one sees him.
I'm sorry, Miss Tate, I tried, but he won't see you.
And you know, you mustn't take it personally. Everyone knows that Wayne's holed up in there with 8-inch nails peeing into mason jars.
And that is why this attempt fails. It fails because without fighting crime and villains, he has nothing left. He wasn't living when he was retired, he's just waiting for death, living in the vain hope that one day he'll be needed to be Batman once more. And it's not that he didn't try to fill his life with something else, or that he didn't try to become Bruce Wayne. It's simply because of the fact that Bruce Wayne is his mask, and Batman is the real him. And without the bat, he's simply just pretending to be something that he's not, and you can only do that for so long until you lose the will to keep on faking it. I mean, that's the real problem. He didn't find something else to fill his life with, so he's got nothing. But thank God for Bane. I mean, yeah, for all of us, going into a fight and having our spines cracked in half, well, yeah, that would be a nightmare without a doubt, and it would also be one of, if not the lowest moments of our lives. We would hate doing that. But for Bruce Wayne, this event of fighting Bane actually energized him like never before. He lives for this. He finally has a war to fight for. I mean, the easiest way to understand this is not to think of him as Batman or Bruce Wayne, but simply as a soldier, one who lives for his mission. And without a mission, a soldier doesn't know what to do with themselves. We've all seen the films and played the video games of the classic soldier trope, the one who needs a war, or else they don't know who they are. Not to mention they start suffering badly from PTSD. And that is Batman. And it's the true reason why his attempts at retirement always fail, because he wants them to fail. It's not that he wants to be Batman, it's that he needs to be Batman. And without it, he doesn't know who he is. It's as simple as that. And at first glance, you might think that his next attempt at retirement, with him faking his death, is going to fail as well. And in fairness, it might. But you do have to remember that he goes away with Catwoman, and that means he does actually have a chance at making it work. Because when he marries someone who he falls in love with and makes a new life with, well, he's filling his life with something other than vengeance. I mean, it might be corny to say, yeah, he's filling it with love, but it is actually true. He's managing to fill his life with something positive, something for him to focus on and give him a purpose, which enables him to stay retired. If you look at this list, you'll see that all the times he fails are because he never found something new to direct his energy and life into. So long as he finds something new to put his life into, which in this case would be marrying Catwoman and starting a life with her, well, the retirement might actually work. We'll never know, of course, because they're never going to do another film in this series, but I like to think that it does work out this time. And those are the 5 best times that Batman has retired, and why he's never been able to stay retired. Now, if you know of any other times that you think should have been mentioned, please let us know in the comments. I always want to know your opinions. And of course, let us know which one of these is your personal favourite, because again, we want to know your opinions. And I'd just like to quickly remind everyone that we have some merchandise available on our store, and to say thanks to all of you who have donated to the Needle Mouse Productions page on Patreon. And as always, thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe, share, like, and comment.